Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Petals Bloom Live. And of course, I'm very excited. I think I'm just a very excitable person. And unfortunately, I have a still have a remnant of a cough, and it seems to be very much a symptom of this particular flu. I've heard many persons are ill and coughing thereafter lingers. But I'm trusting God that very soon this coughing will be a thing of the past. So, welcome everyone. Welcome. And for those who are coming on, who will be joining, who will be listening to the replay, glad to have you. And so, let me see what happened this week. Well, one of my relatives, I will call no names, got water baptized on Sunday. And when I saw him coming out of the water, I cried. I shed some tears because I was like, oh, this has definitely been that has definitely been an answer to prayer. So I'm extremely grateful for what God is doing in his life. And yeah, so I remember for me, I'd given my life to Christ like many years before I actually got water baptized. And I was just rebelling against it. And I finally did it, and I'm glad I did. So um, yeah, that was a highlight for me last week. And I'm into gardening, so I got some seedlings yesterday, I think it was. No, on Saturday. So I got some kale, pak choy, which I think is bok choy. I think I might have the name wrong. Anyhow, and some lettuce and what else? Beetroot, two sweet pepper seedlings, and did I say lettuce? And lettuce. So I'm excited about, growing our own food, at least some aspects of it. And I was listening to a podcast this morning from my doctor, and she was stressing the importance of eating real food. And so John and I made some changes to our diet progressively since we've gotten married. And I mean, I'm really grateful for the changes that we have made, and I'm certain we have to make a few more changes. But she stressed the importance of lessening the amount of processed foods that we eat and focus more on real food, like food that you can that is grown in the ground, or food that you can pick from a tree, or food from even animals. I'm not a vegetarian by any stretch of the imagination, but I eat a lot of fish. So I think, as Christians, we have to take care of our bodies. We have to exercise, sleep, get sufficient sleep. We just need to take care of our bodies. Yes. So I'll wait for a few more persons to come on for us to get into the topic at hand. And as always, I try to choose topics that are relevant for single Christian women. And the reason I one of the reason I started this content, um, first of all through the articles on petalsbloom.com, and then the YouTube channel, was to have a resource for single women who are older, like 35 and above, and who have never been married. Because I was in that category for some years. And I was around so many single women. So I felt that it was important to help them to live well while they're single, and at the same time prepare for marriage, because you just cannot just get married and just feel like just because you're of a certain age that you are all ready for this covenant of marriage. No, it has, you need preparation before you get married, and even while you're married, it takes work, and good work. Because I don't like when people put a spin on marriage that is just like laborious. It's such a great task to be married. I mean, you have to die to self to be certain. But dying to self, according to the word of God, is always a good thing because then God could change your life and bear fruit. So it has in some, sometimes it is difficult and challenging, but on the whole, I believe that marriage is good and it's worthwhile. And I would encourage most single women, some single women should remain single. Just saying that. That everyone should get married because you'll stress the man out and themselves out. Yes, so that is what has been happening. And that's why I've started this. And for those of you who don't know us yet, my name is Kimberly Garth, and I'm the founder of Petals Bloom and the main voice at the moment. But I'm hoping that things will change in the future and there'll be others who will come on who will facilitate talking about certain topics for single Christian women. And I also want to encourage you that if you have topics that you want me to discuss, now it has to be in line with what the brand is about, is single Christian women and relationships, and thriving in singleness and preparing for marriage. So if you feel that you have like a hot topic or some topics, important questions that that are relevant to you that you think will be beneficial to other single Christian women, please either send me an email at kimberly@petalsbloom.com or in the community tab. I did ask a question earlier today, so you can respond to that community tab and ask me your questions. Okay, so let me get into the topic because I know there are others who will come on after and you will look at the live the replay of this live. So regardless of your age, sometimes you might be thinking, okay, I'm older now, I'm 35 and over, I'm 40 years old. Is it even possible to have men interested in you to the point of asking you for your hand in marriage? And I personally don't think age is the main deterrent in love. I have seen and heard about stories of women who have gotten married later in life, and men too. There are women who on their second um, marriage and they're older because they're still attractive to the opposite sex. So regardless of your age, you can definitely attract a godly man. It does not matter your age. You can be in your 30s, you could be in your 40s, your 50s, 60s. And, you only need one guy. You might be thinking, oh, there are not enough men, but you only need one guy in your life, one guy to marry. You don't need several men. And the world has a lot of guys. And you could even consider men who are widowers. They are a possible, um, you know, they might be a good person to possibly marry and even consider younger men. I mean, not like very, very young, right? You need to be reasonable with it because then you'll have a whole lot of issues that will impact your marriage that you could probably do without. But you could consider marrying an older man or even a younger guy, okay? And a man whose spouse has passed away and he's now available again. And I have found that a lot of older men, when their wives die, they just cannot remain single. They've gotten so used to the benefit of having a woman in their lives that within a year, 2 years, they actually remarry. So don't give up. God is able. God is able to bring a good man, a good godly man into your life. So here are some qualities that attract a man to a woman. And these are qualities that any man is looking for in a woman. So, first quality is her smile. And no one is at a disadvantage. Everyone has the ability to smile unless something has happened in a very rare case where you are not able when a person is not able to smile. I don't know of anybody like that personally, so I'm not even going to focus on that. A smile disarms people. It causes people to open up. It causes people to be interested in knowing you, hearing from you, etc. No, I don't. I realize that my light is flickering. I don't know if it's my ring light flickering. John, please fix me up after this. So I remember when I was a single woman, and I was generally very, very serious when it came to strangers and when it came to single men that I found to be attractive. But I've been in ministry for many years. And if I am in a ministry context, and I usually in my ministry, I was among younger men. So I always felt comfortable smiling, being my happy self. I had no problems whatsoever. But when I was among men who were around my age, who could be possible potential suitors, I would just get clam up and become very serious, and I was just not able to be myself. And then one day I realized, okay, Kimberly, if you're serious about getting married, you have to change. And I think I began to change in 2017. No, I think it's 2016. And I began to smile a lot more. And I recall a time I was in a doctor's office, and this is in the early phases of me just trying to have a pleasant smile on my face. And an older lady had come in, and a gentleman, and I just saw people smiling back at me from across the room. So it not only opened up conversations with men, even on the whole, I was able to bridge that gap and be an inviting kind of person. So I would encourage you, if you want a man to be attracted to you, one of the first things that you need to focus on is smiling a lot more. It doesn't matter if you feel you're going to give him a wrong impression. If it doesn't matter if you feel you're just being, he might think that you're desperate. Forget about all that. Just be a pleasant Christian woman and smile. Smile. A smile will break down the barriers. Because, I did the live last week on career women and the challenge of finding love. And part of the reason is that some career women are just way too serious. And, people are already having some misconceptions about you. And one way to get rid of those misconceptions is by smiling and showing them that you are a likable person. You are a person that they can speak with. So, my first point is learning to smile. I remember a time a single woman came to our church, and I knew she was single. And she went up to speak, and I felt like, okay, why is she so serious? Why is she so intense? Right? And like, if you want to be married, this is a great opportunity. You are in front of a church of um a big enough church, and undoubtedly there will be single Christian men in that audience. And this is an opportunity to win them, at least disarm them so that they be willing to come up to you at the end of the service to engage you in conversation. So you just don't know where you might be. But if you smile more, more men will be willing to approach you for a conversation. So when I began to smile more, a lot more guys started to speak with me just because I smile more. People might just think, oh, Kimberly, some people might think I'm pretty and they might think, okay, guys might just have no problem speaking to me. But when you have a beast face like I had, most men will not be willing to speak with you because they might think, okay, because she looks that particular way, she might be so arrogant, and that's the reason she's so serious. And that wasn't the reason. The reason was I was just shy. So my recommendation to you, it doesn't matter what you look like, a smile brighten up your face. A smile. When I see some women smile, it may not necessarily be Miss Universe standard, but just smile is just like so beautiful. It's beautiful. So if you're interested, if you want to attract a good man or any man for that matter, but I just want to focus on godly Christian men, right? But in any case, all men, all men, I think, are interested in women who smile. Okay. The second thing is having a positive attitude. Like I spoke about this in last week's live about career women who, the minute they enter a particular circle, a church, an organization, they just are fault finding and they're complaining and they can see nothing good. Okay, thanks, John. That is true. Smiling is a good thing to do. And I think smiling also releases feel good hormones as well. It's good. And I remember, I think I probably still do it, but much less. I will, if I pass by a mirror, I would smile at myself. I'll go into the mirror at home in my room and I would just smile. And if I'm passing by, I might just look at the mirror and smile. So practice smiling at home and practice smiling wherever you go and to just release those feel good hormones. So it's also beneficial to you and your own emotional and mental health. So it's a win win. It's a win win. Smiling. Yes. John said, men love peace and joy. Right. So going back to the positive attitude. You see how John mentioned joy. That is the kind of woman. So when you enter a particular space, you want to be a positive person. You want to be the woman who gives encouragement. You want to be the woman who can speak words of admiration. So if you meet a guy and you go to a conference, for instance, and you found that maybe he had a presentation, you could go up to him and thank him and compliment his presentation. If you're around, mean that you're sharing one particular table with other guys, you know you can think of something that is positive about him or persons around. If it's another woman also sitting next to you and your guys around, you can give a genuine compliment to another woman. Maybe her earrings you like, maybe how she did her eyebrows, maybe her nails. A time I went to a government office and I saw a woman and she was very sour, very sour looking. But her nails were well done, I think. I think it was her nails. And I complimented her on her nails. And that woman changed from a sourpuss into a woman who smiled at me, and her customer service was much better thereafter. Okay. So having a positive attitude and giving compliments and positive feedback will help you in all relationships on a whole. People don't like to be around persons who are always complaining. Some years ago, we had a family gathering, and just one person can sour an entire event, and that happened. And I always remember that example because it could have turned out much better. Just because one person had a bad attitude and was complaining and had, um, was just in a bad mood for the entire time, and that infected the entire time. Okay. So you can change the atmosphere when you enter your workplace, by your smile and by your positive attitude, by how you choose to use your words. Um, when you go to church, do you have like a scowl on your face, or do you have a pleasant smile? Are you willing to greet a person? Are you willing to, just be a person that persons want to be around? And the power is in you. Now, some people might think Christians shouldn't smile. I can understand that. If God laughs, I can understand why we can't laugh too. All right. So we have to change this narrative that Christians have no joy and Christians are the ones always to find fault. No, we are the ones to bring light. We are the ones to bring encouragement. We are the ones to bring peace. I know there are times you have to speak some hard truths that might not be pleasant, but that's beside the point. Okay? So, yes, as John reminded me, please like the live if you're enjoying it and you can share it with others. So, and if you have difficulty, like, I think you need to just deal with it and pray that God, if you need to go for counseling, if you're always negative and you need to go for counseling, please go for counseling if you feel that you have a tendency to always be negative. And if a spirit of heaviness, God can help you to lift. God can help lift that spirit of heaviness as well. And I remember a testimony from one of my former pastors, and she was saying that before she used to have like the spirit of heaviness upon her, and it was very difficult for her. And when God healed her and delivered her, she was like singing in supermarket, and somebody who knew her from the past was so shocked because she had changed. God had lifted that spirit of heaviness, and she began to be she was a different person singing in supermarket. And just be yourself. You can, when you walk, when you are picking up your groceries, if you have joy, you could be humming a song, and you'll be surprised how charming and how attractive that kind of quality will be to a man. So just change the words that you speak. And if you are not certain, ask friends, ask people who are in your life, and ask them how do you come across to persons, to strangers, to friends. Are you the person who's always complaining, or are you the person who's always lifting others up? Now there must be a balance. I firmly believe in speaking the truth in love. If anybody knows me, I'm more a truth oriented person and a grace oriented person. Trying to work on it, because Jesus was full of grace and truth. He had balance. I'm a work in progress. Sorry. But, just training yourself to be a person who is filled with gratitude rather than a person who is filled with quarreling and always complaining. Okay. So look at your thoughts. Look at yourself talk. What do you say to yourself? What do you say to people? What do your family members know you to be? And change. If it's negative, you need to trust the Lord to change that narrative. Okay. The third reason that a man is attracted to a woman is her looks. I've spoken this on several times, even in my YouTube or my articles. How you look is important to a man. And you do not have to be what the world deems as the best looking woman. You don't have to be a particular size. You don't necessarily have to be the standard of a Miss World or Miss Universe that we currently have right now. No, I know. I have relatives who are not slim and trim and who will never be chosen for a Miss World pageant. But they are they're the kind of person that men want to be with because of just their desire to be supportive to a man, um to spoil a man, cooking his favorite foods, or just being a supporter to a man. Okay. So, but these same relatives who may not be fit the frame of a Miss Universe or Miss World or what other international beauty pageants, they take care of themselves. I mean, I have some aunts. They know how to take care of themselves. Their hair is well done, their nails, um, the attire that they choose, it suits their body size and their body structure. And, you know, I see single Christian women wanting to be married, but at the same time, they feel that a man should accept them as they are. Jesus will accept you as you are. But for a man who doesn't even know you that well, men will generally they're looking for someone who they're attracted to. And it could be different things that they may be attracted to. Some men are attracted to teeth. Some men may be attracted to your toes. Some men are attracted to um, your figure. Some men are attracted to your eyes, your smile. I mean, your hair. There are different things that men are attracted to. So my recommendation to you is first of all, one of my recommendations is, try to figure out what are the things that are the assets that you have. So for me, I think one of my, oh, hey, I have a guy commenting. Devon, correct. I ain't know about that. Teeth and toes though. Yes, some men into toes in truth, They will look down and see if you're taking care of your toes. And they will either turn them on or turn them off. Okay, John says they might not like this, but please don't wear a jeans and a t-shirt every single time. Oh gosh, John, if you're hinting, it's sending a little hint to me because I wear jeans and t-shirts pretty often. You see? And I like these guys are online, are here on here, giving some good tips. So, Devon, as a guy, you can feel free to list some things that you find attractive in women. And I like what John has to say because, I mean, as I said in some other YouTube video, men, most men once would like to see the woman that they're interested in some feminine attire, like some girly dresses and some skirts. So one of my friends was telling me the other day, her husband, he purposely purchases clothes for her like dresses and skirts because he probably finds she doesn't have enough of those pieces of clothing. So if married men will want their wives to wear dresses and soft pants and skirts, then you as a single woman, if you want to attract a man, try to be dressing, try to get a few pieces of lovely floral dresses or skirts or colors that are nice and soft. And like if you're a dark in complexion, please try to stay away from blacks and navy blue and gray. Wear some bright colors and get some prints. To have this you know, floral earrings. Get a few pieces. Get some dresses and some tops that are, when you look at it, for certain, it's a woman who will wear that. All right. So please take this advice. Um, very seriously. My husband put a nice dress outside of church every once in a while is good. All right. So, I'm going to be buying some more dresses after that comment. It's just, and I don't know if you all realize that, but when I wear a dress, the way I walk is different. The way I sit, it is different. So it's not only the piece of clothing, but what it does to a woman, how it accentuates her beauty and her femininity, and you just feel more womanly, you just feel more girly when you have on a dress or a skirt. So if you have so I would recommend, please, by Christmas, if you have any Christmas or holiday events that you need to go to, ladies, ditch that pants, unless of course it's cold in your wherever you are, and try to get some feminine prints and some dresses and some skirts to wear on those special occasions. Um, I saw a young lady who's a follower, and she had on like a really pretty dress. I think it was like in May. And I complimented her. And she's like, "Oh, it's because of you, you don't care. What's that to it?" I was like, "Oh, you look so pretty." And you will find even women will compliment you. Not men alone, eh? Women as well. And when I began to change my outfit, I realized that like men would just open doors for me and stop for, well, if it's like if I'm trying to cross the road, when I dress in a feminine way, men who are driving vehicles will stop their vehicles to allow me to cross. All right. So these are the kind of things that when you dress a particular way, men will step up to the occasion and treat you like a beautiful woman that you are. All right, so let's see, read what Devon says. You're spot on though. A woman that smiles always wins. Someone who's approachable, kind, and not just selectively nice. I love that. If she takes time to put together what she wears, is also a plus, and you draw eyes. And that is true. And men, regardless of generation, is the same when it comes to that kind of thing. They are the same. Your grandfather, who is in his 80s or 90s or 70s, he still has the same he would still think a woman who dresses and takes care of herself and wears a little dress and a skirt once in a while, those women are considered beautiful. So it does not matter what your facial structure is. If you're short, tall, stumpy, skinny, you can be feminine and you can be considered attractive to the opposite sex. And I like what Devon mentioned, kind and not just selectively nice. Now, I like that because men are looking at you. Okay. And if they don't know you personally as yet, their friends are looking at you. And when they come to ask, you say, what you think about Kimberly? Their friends will say, such and such, but she's not a very nice person. And men will be very clear and give their opinions about women. So men talk about women. They talk about the woman. So you want to know that you are nice, period. Now, I find that is very disturbing to me, because there are some women, some single Christian women, they are very selective. Some persons they choose to be nice to, and others they are just dreadful with. So when a man is choosing a woman and vice versa, you need to do your homework. So you know if the person is a person of integrity in and out, regardless if they're in the church building, regardless if they're in the workplace, if they're by the gas station, if who they attend to. You want to marry, nobody's perfect, but you want a person who has integrity. That they are more or less the same person in and out. Okay? Oh, yes, Nikita. Kindness goes a long way. Yeah, because people see it. People will see it. Oh, thicky thighs, Douglas. Blessed night to all. Good night. This is a tongue tie, Thicky thighs, Douglas. But it would be a memorable name, right? Okay. So the next thing is your willingness to nurture others. Now, men like to be spoiled. When I was living at home with my parents, and my father thought he had cancer, okay? And I would go on the internet and try to find recipes at that point in time, he wanted to stay away from flour and processed sugar. So I went on the internet and I was always trying all kinds of things. Brownies made with red beans, um, some date nut balls made with like coconut and cashew nuts and almond nuts and roll it up. So You have to have a mindset of nurturing and not think that nurturing is an unnecessary evil in your life. Ask God to train you to think of, to help you to realize that being a nurturing woman is a good thing. It is a good call. It's not um your career is not so important that you cannot cook a meal and share with someone, or you cannot, these, you have to change our mindset about children, about husbands, and nothing that the husband is there to only serve you. It is mutual service. He is serving you and you are serving him. But men generally love to be pampered. And the nurturing could take many forms. And as you get married, it's not one form. You need to grow in several forms. Like cooking shows um, a nurturing mindset. Things like, um, if something happens and you need to tend to maybe a cut, or your husband is ill, or your children are ill. As a woman, if you are a healthy woman, and if you're not, please seek counseling. You would naturally want to nurture and to take care of your ailing family members. Cooking breakfast, going out to get medication, giving a foot rub. Now my husband loves head massages, so I have become a master head massager. And that's just a part of nurturing him, and I take delight in it. I enjoy it. Okay. So the mindset needs to change where we actually enjoy nurturing others and not feel that we are just being a servant to a man and we don't agree with it. And you're a career woman, you're an educated woman, you are well known, you have well established yourself in whatever arena, and you don't need to care for someone. All right. So Nikita says, what if you cook and your spouse hardly eats anything? Do you keep cooking? I think you should still cook, right? And while you cook, you continue to pray because God has a way of changing people. John, not John. John has a, not John. God has a way of changing people's appetite. And I think it also shows that eventually he will come to realize that you are caring. This is your way of caring for him. And you might be cooking one particular way, but I pray that God will give you wisdom to be able to cook in a way that He will enjoy. So it's both ways. You beginning to know what He likes and His tastes, and changing what you're used to incorporate what he likes, and at the same time also praying that he would begin to like what you cook and what you like. Okay, I firmly believe nothing's impossible with God, and he's able to bring you all together to a point where what you cook will satisfy him and what he cooks will satisfy you. Because I believe, I think men should also, it's a nice thing to cook as well. My husband made some really good chicken wings on Friday. When was Sunday? Yesterday. Oh my goodness, it tastes so good. All right. So cook and pray as you cook the pray. All right. My husband is requesting a head massage after this live. Of course, my love. Head massage for you is coming up. Cook and pray as you cook the pray. I tell you it again. It's so funny. That's my husband. Lyrical genius there. Yes. So I hope I answered your question. Um, Marriage will throw all kinds of things at you, but the God of all wisdom, He will show you how to navigate those challenging situations that you never thought would meet you. And yeah, so while you're a single woman, use your time and think about the ways that God will probably need you to nurture your family, whether it is cooking, whether it's caring for when he's ill, learn how to make a little soup. Um, yeah, even things like sewing, took a little course before, know how to hem my pants. When, maybe a hole might spring up in somebody, some child or your husband, how, learn to do a little mending, because these things are not impossible. These things you can do. All right. And managing a home, that's important as well as a single woman. That's all a part of the whole category of nurturing a family. Because you want a place where people are comfortable, and a woman adds beauty to a home. Most bachelors, their houses, it's bare and untidy, but when a woman enters and it's beautiful, you can see. My light has gone off. All right. A woman adds beauty to a home, and I hope and pray that that you'll bring in that beauty when you do get married. But even right now, wherever you live, beautify it. And the last point is her girliness. So femininity is a big deal for heterosexual man, and opposites do attract. And instead of, in our current culture, we value aggression to get ahead, and women have become a lot more rough and gruff and tough. And part of it is because people have been injured, they have been hurt, and they feel they need to toughen up to be able to deal and live in a man's world. But I want to encourage you to embrace tenderness and softness and meekness as a woman, and let your femininity show in everything that you do. How you use your hands, how you sit, how you laugh, how you talk, the words that you say. Okay, you'll be surprised at the impact that this will have on a man when you make a few adjustments in this area. Okay, so embrace your femininity as a woman, and don't let anybody take it away from you. Even soft, even crying. um when I was younger, I used to cry a lot, very easily. And I can't remember, maybe I was a teenager. I made a vow to myself that I will not cry so easily. And as a result, I believe I became a harder woman. And I was reading the book Captivating, and the author spoke about vows that we have made. And I had to repent on that vow. So now I don't hold back. If I want to cry in church because I'm moved by the spirit in praise and worship, I cry. I try not to put any mascara on my lower lashes, because I know all here will be black because I need to cry at times. And like when I'm watching a movie, John is very amused. Certain movies, I'm like, he will just hear me and dab in my eyes. And I have no, I am not ashamed of it, because it just shows that I'm a woman, and I enjoy being a woman. I enjoy, if I have to shed a tear ever so often, that is fine. It shows that I have a heart. I'm a soft woman. Okay? So embrace your femininity in all its glory. Okay? It is a gift from God, and if you have lost it, God can restore it. All right, so Nikisha, good information. Amen. Yes, 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 yes. Femininity. Don't let the enemy and the world steal it from you and think that in order for you to progress in life, you just need to be like a man. You don't need to be like a man. You know how many powerful women who have passed through the world who were not like men? Look at Deborah in the Bible. She was a warrior. And you can be a warrior for God, and you could be a warrior on your knees, which I think matters more than anything else and is more powerful than any word that you can speak. And that when you're close with your Lord and you speak a word, God will give you just the right word to speak, to cut to the heart. But you don't want to cut up anybody, okay? I mean, cut to the heart, like maybe God is using you to bring conviction, but it's not you trying to use you to make a conviction, and you don't. The Holy Spirit does not need help. I mean, inspired words from the God. That's what I mean. All right. So Isha says, Amen. 100% great information. All right. So, ladies, You have what it takes to attract a good man, regardless of your age. It does not matter if you're in your late 20s and you're worried, your 30s, your 40s, 50s, 60s. It does not matter. You can attract a good man because there are single men around still, and some would become single because their spouse might have died, and they're looking. They are looking for women um, who are attractive to them, one, and they're willing to give, they probably, you pique their interest and they're willing to consider you as a possible spouse. Okay. So if anybody has any comments on questions, please, I invite you right now to put it on the chat so that I can address them if I could. I don't know everything. Yes, I'm glad you all think it's good information. And um, I share with you from my own experience. And my love life really turned around like maybe last 5 years of being single, to tell you the truth. I've had people that I crushed on or people crushing on me, but just nothing ever happened. And then I began to change how I interact with men, and I became a lot more encouraging um, to the men that I was speaking with. And those men, a few, yeah, the ones that I would speak one on one with who were interested. I got a few persons who wanted to marry me because I changed. And I was thinking, oh Lord, when is your timing? When is your will? And God, it works both ways, eh? God was probably, preparing myself and John to be together. But also, I feel like God was waiting on me. I needed to change. I needed to change my mindset, the way I spoke with men, what I said. You know, I think in my last few years, I saw myself as a blessing. I wanted to be a blessing to the men who I interacted with. And that caused me to encourage them and speak words of blessing in their lives and words of affirmation. And they appreciated it, and a few of them wanted to marry me. And because men are looking for that, ladies, they are looking for that. So it's not about your looks. You could go to the gym and look very, very good, but if a man thinks that you're a hard woman, a woman they can't get along with, even you could be sexiest woman in your circles, he not going to be interested. Or some men, they're interested just for sex. And if they know they're not going to get any sex, then they're even going to bother. All right. So, and then some men would just want to be with you, as I said, for sex, and they have no interest whatsoever in marrying you because they feel like, why marry you? Because you just might be give them a big lifelong headache. That's not easy. Divorce is not easy. It requires money and time. So some men just decide to live with women and not marry them. All right. So any comments or questions before I end? How can women balance their own needs and boundaries while still being nurturing to others? Oh, that's an excellent, excellent question. Especially as a woman, when you're married and when children come along, that balance is tricky. And I can see many times a woman might go off course and then come back. And so it's like a balancing act over and over again. I think, first of all, you have to have a mindset to nurture, and not only have the mindset, you have to ask God for the ability to actually enjoy it. There are some women you meet who have children and they love the children, but they don't necessarily enjoy them. And then you'll meet a few women who really, really enjoy their children. They enjoy having children, they enjoy being around them, I mean, it might be difficult, but they actually enjoy it. And I think it's so important that you have a mind that to serve with joy. And if you're not there, just doing it out of obligation, then I pray that God will help you to actually enjoy it. So I personally, I mean, there are times when it might be, I'm like, oh God, tired. But I really enjoy having my fridge full of food. I enjoy sharing with my neighbors when I have, a little extra. I just want to share with them. I really, really enjoy that. I enjoy fixing up my home and organizing it. These are things that bring me excitement. But for another person, it might be a necessary evil that they have to cook. No, I don't necessarily like to cook all the time, but I like the idea of having food available. So that will motivate me to cook and to bake. I like that. Yeah. So first of all, is having the mentality that it is that you pray and ask God that it will help you, that you will serve with joy, that you will nurture with joy. And the second thing is you have to understand that you're a human being and you have limitations. And if you keep on, as they say, burning the candles on both ends, you will become burnt out because you're just a human being. And that's why the Bible says that God rested. And if God could rest, who doesn't need any rest? He's really showing us the importance of resting and trusting in Him. So rest is important. So at times you might need to say no because you're just tired. Like at times, I might really want to go on the road to get something for the family. And I'm like, no, I've done enough for the day. I just tired. I need to just sit down, take out my ottoman and just relax and put my feet up because I am tired. And getting sufficient sleep is important for renewing your energy and just your mental health. Taking some time, like I'm into journaling, taking some time to journal, making sure that you have people investing in you weekly. So I speak to one of my good friends every single week, either on phone or I see her physically, and we pray. So you need to know what you need in order to be healthy, okay? And give yourself that. You are not a machine, and you remember you're not God as well. You are not everybody's savior. You have limitations. You're a human being, all right? And like I would also overdo it and not eat because I want to get so many things done. And I've been making progress. So yesterday I said, I'm going to eat first before I make this banana bread. And that's a big growth step for me because I will just want to do everything, get it out of the way, and then sit down to eat and take care of myself. No, at times you just have to delay things or say no to certain things because you have to be in tune to your health, to your emotions, and know when you have reached your limit, or just put things in place so that you know that okay, you need 7 to 8 hours a night of rest. You need to put that in your schedule. You need to make room for it. Okay. So I hope that helps you. So you need to understand, know yourself more and more, and know when to stop and when to put things in God's hands, and just realize you're not anybody's savior. And Rashida asked, how do you know you have found the one? Does the one even exist? Now I like that latter part. Does the one even exist? John and I personally don't believe there's only one person for you to marry. Because if that were the case, that would have been messed up from even Bible days. When people married, like people married 2 women or 3 women, that would have been messed up a long time. And then people's will, people have a say in who they should marry. So if the person who's supposed to marry you decided not to marry because they don't like you, then that whole situation is messed up. So there are many reasons why that is. I don't agree that. So God will bring into your life several persons who will probably be a good fit for you. And under God, guidance by the Holy Spirit and the Word of God, you and the guy need to make a decision if you are going to walk this path together. Make a commitment, move forward, get married, live by biblical principles, be wise, and glorify God in your marriage. I think we overcomplicate marriage, and it doesn't need to be overcomplicated as we've done. Okay. And as I said, I think that for most of you all who decide to be married, you probably have already met the person. The person might be in your life, or they might be connected to you by other persons who are currently in your life. Right? Don't overcomplicate the situation. Marriage is good, and it doesn't have to be like, oh my goodness, the Lord said, marry Charlie. And you whisper in your ears, marry Charlie. That does not happen for the most part. Right? Okay. The faith journey by faith. How can a woman know which one to choose when they have many suitors? Oh, I love that question. When they have many suitors, hey, it's good to have options. One, the peace of God. Okay. So you pray about it and fine, just decide, okay, um, do you have the peace of God concerning a particular guy? Secondly, does that guy love Jesus and committed to Jesus? Okay. This is not any particular order, right? Another filter to go through is if your parents or your guardians or persons who God has placed as your covering, spiritual covering, I would say, especially parents, because they are the number ones. Number one, or unless your parents are passed away, maybe your grandparents, maybe your uncle took care of you. I don't know what situation is, but what do they think about the person that you're interested in? Because believe it or not, most times when you hear of a marriage not working, somebody, I mean, I've heard it very often. Their father didn't like the person for them, or their mother didn't like the person. And especially the fathers, like men, we try to run away from the men in our lives, especially ones who have God has given authority over us, like our fathers. We don't necessarily want their input, but we need their input because God has placed them to protect us. Men are there in our lives to protect us, and we give them the opportunity, whether they're Christian or not, they will be able to see if this guy is a good fit for you. So when it comes to dating, you don't have to figure it out on your own. And that is the problem right now in the Western world and this dating. We just do everything in isolation. We feel that we must find our spouse, we must decide for ourselves, and we leave everybody else in our community out of the picture. And that's not a good idea because they will see things that you will not see. And for the most part, I think God will place a few people in your life who really, really loves you. And they would want you to marry someone who will treat you well, who would love you, who will honor you, who will adore you, who will treasure you. So give them that opportunity to have a say in who you will marry. Okay. Yeah, so I did a video on that. So you could probably check out some of my videos on how to, I think it was like 5 tests to know if he's the one. But the peace of God is important. What other people have to say in your community, especially your parents or like spiritually grounded people, what they have to say. If you get along with the person, you enjoy the person, you respect the person, those things are very important factors. All right. Because you're going to live with that person. Don't just marry someone because you're attracted to them physically, because people change, people's bodies change. All right. That guy who's like in the gym right now, suppose you stop going to the gym and he gets like put on a lot of weight. What you going to do? You're going to divorce him because he just doesn't fit. She changed. No, you have to marry the person who is the inside character. And if a person is growing in Christ, they will become they will grow in character and become more and more attractive, I believe. And I have seen that. Like, I love John a whole lot more now than when we first got married because of the man that he is, that I can see a lot more now and experience a lot more now than when we first said I do over 5 years ago. All right. So that's good. Pouring back into yourself. Yeah, it's very important. Human. But Hollywood movies don't say so. And you have to, and I am always saying, please, you need to probably take some time away from Hollywood movies and entertainment because they are putting a lot of nonsense in our heads about how to find someone and how to know someone is a good fit for us. It's not about your heart racing alone. Your heart could race for the wrong person, and if you that is your criteria for marrying someone, when you get married and things are difficult and you meet a co-worker, your heart stop racing for your husband, right? And you meet a co-worker whose heart your heart is not racing towards that person. You erroneously think, oh my goodness, I'm out of love with my husband and look at this good man. I'm really attracted to him and I love the way he makes me feel. I feel like a woman again, and all this sort of foolishness. When you need to just cut that off and not even consider that man and stay faithful to your husband. So yeah, please, yeah, we have to renew our minds on what is good and what is biblical, because God's ways and God's truth is what will take us through for life and into eternity, not Hollywood. Um, why do people self sabotage in relationships? Now, Devon, I would like to understand what you mean by self sabotage in relationships. Could you explain and I will answer? Because I don't understand clearly what you mean. Okay. Can you give some tips or advice for someone who have children but want to be married? I like that. And I have found that there are a lot of men who are willing to marry women with children. And it really is, don't just think just because you have children that there are no good men in this world who would want to marry you. That is a lie. If a man sees you as a loving woman, as a woman who cares for your own children, as a woman who is um, positive, a joy to be around, who will support him in his goals, who would be his number one cheerleader, those things men are interested in, because there are a lot of cutthroat women around that they might be single, they might never be married, they might look good, they might have very good careers, no children, and they will still not be attractive to men because of their character, because of what comes out of their mouths, because of how they treat people. And so I know women who have children and they have gotten married, and these men have embraced. Now, I have some questions with that, though. Please, the tests that I mentioned, these need to be applied as well. And the other tests you need to actually apply as well as the children. The children need to pass, the guy needs to pass that test with the children. So if you meet a guy and your children do not like him at all, I would definitely be very cautious with that. And so one of my pastors who died, he was saying that children could sense um, the peace of a marriage or even the character of a person, I think. And if your children do not like that guy, then something could be very, very, very wrong. They might be sensing something that you cannot sense. Now, if your children are spoiled and he corrects them, now that is a different situation. It's your fault that you spoil your children rotten, that they cannot receive discipline. But at the same time, if a man is now caught in you and he's disciplining your children so quickly, now that might not be a good thing. All right. But if your children old enough to give their opinion, you need to take in consideration what they think and what they sense, because you don't want them to live in a household where they might feel um where they can be abused, where yeah, you don't want to put them in compromising situations. All right. Oh, watch is going over 9 now. Okay. All right. This is the last question I'll be answering, right? So I found that a lot of Christian women and men eliminate themselves from healthy relationships even when it is what they wanted. What are some reasons for that? Ooh, that's a really good question. Okay, now understand what you say now. I think people eliminate themselves for many reasons. So if a person has had bad relationships in the past, or even one bad relationship, and they might end the relationship before they get hurt, because they don't want to be experience that level of hurt again. Like if they're getting too close to a person and maybe there's one little conflict that comes up, and then they begin to say, no, I can't manage this again. This person reminds me of such and such. This feels the same level of rejection that I felt. Now, I was like that with John initially. I did not get over my rejection from the first relationship, and it affected John. So most times I was good, but when a conflict happened, I'd be like, John, I was happy and happy when I was single. I don't need this relationship in this kind of arrogant, pompous way. But it was just me trying to protect myself from rejection. I did not want to experience that again. So you just take front and reject the person before they reject you. And so when you're in a situation like that and you know the woman is really a good woman, I would recommend that you're praying for her and even bring it up, you know, bring it up and hear what she has to say, or even hear about her history with guys. All right. So I think it's probably a self-protective stance for the most part. And then there are people who have had many relationships and maybe their hearts have just become hard and callous and they just don't know how to love. Well, they need counseling, not a relationship, right? So you need to encourage them to go for counseling before you even consider marrying anybody like that. Right? So people need a healing. And yeah, that's sad. And then it's all kinds of things, like we have an attraction to unhealthy these days. And I think it has to do with the culture and people being brainwashed from movies that glamorize abuse. And some women just can't see, they just don't want, they're not attracted to good men. They're attracted to bad men, unhealthy men, men who will abuse them. And it's a twisted kind of thing. And maybe it's the men they grew up seeing, and maybe it is what they fed themselves on to think that these men are the most attractive kind of men, and the healthy men they don't want. And that's the enemy, because if you marry an unhealthy man who's abusive to you, you know that's not going to end well, to destroy the woman and destroy the relationship in the future. So yeah, for you, if you're a single guy, I would recommend just continue to pray for that gem of a woman who will see you as a good catch, and both of you all can choose healthiness and healing and be a blessing to one another. Yeah, so I'm sure there are several reasons, but from my own life, self protection might cause you to reject a healthy relationship because you're just afraid of being hurt again. Some persons come from abusive homes, so and they haven't been healed, and so that hurt can spoil a relationship. Some persons have been, there are several reasons. Hollywood, people are there around who tell them foolishness and they believe it. So that is it for today. And I pray that, this was a blessing to you all, and that God will bring for the woman a God, at least one godly man who is attracted to you, will see the treasure that you are and that you could be a blessing to him. And for the men on the live and who will watch the recording, I pray that you will also um, be blessed by a woman, a Proverbs 31 woman who will do you good all the days of your life and not harm. All right. So take care, everyone. Take care. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, please do subscribe and like and share this video if you found it was beneficial to you. All right. So take care, everyone. Bye bye. Much love. Oh, somebody says there must be a balance found between Sigma or Alpha without being us. Yeah. Well, we're looking for godly men, and women. And Kim is open to speaking at your churches, cell groups, etc. Yes, I am. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.